the biggest memories I made were the friendships I've made for the past years, because that type of connections you have, especially when people share the same passion as you, share the same, hype as you, because this game you have played together, it can last a lifetime. I can really tell some of these friends I've made, I really want to thank, because without this type of passion we share, without this type of community, without the league, I don't know where I am going to be without that type of passion.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Grow Up, Level Up. Of course, it is I, your host, Samson, and today we are joined by another guest, who I'll introduce in a second. But on Grow Up, Level Up, we are an interview podcast where we talk to folks about the fun and games that help them grow up, as well as the fun and games that they choose to partake in today. And that can be stuff like hobbies like board games, or exercising, or being creative. But a reoccurring theme that always comes up is actually esports and video games. So our guest today is somebody that I met last year at a very cool esports event. And we'll share the story about how we met in a second, but I want to welcome, all the way from the East Coast, the Toronto Defiant superfan, Mario. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. And this is my actual second time in podcasting in esports type related stuff. So I'm really happy that Samson here, your host, has invited me to this. And I'm actually happy to do this. So thank you so much for the invitation. And I can't wait to talk about Toronto Defiant on my end, in my perspective in my life for the past 3 years with the community, which is really awesome to be with.
That's awesome. Hey, I didn't know that you did another esports or a podcast before. What podcast was that? If you want to
It
shut
was
them out.
under Light Force, actually. Ready, Set, Pwn. I was one of the guinea pigs, as he mentioned to me on that. It's called I forgot what that segment is called, but anyway, it was a fun segment to do. That's actually my first time doing podcasting, and
Cool.
I actually always wanted to do another one, and lo and behold, Grow Up, Level Up is right here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for
Yeah.
your support. And
Oh, yeah, no worries.
Light Force, as well as Sir Dr. J.M. Jordan over at Ready Set Pwn,
Yeah.
obviously friends of the show. They were actually one of our first few guests here on Grow Up, Level Up. So if you are able, go check out their episodes about what it's like being podcasters, as well as esports fans and fathers as well.
Oh, there, yeah.
Awesome. So, in case you didn't catch it, the topic of the show will be about being super fans of our respective home teams. For those not watching the podcast, we are decked out in our Overwatch League jerseys. I'm wearing, of course, the Vancouver Titans, being from Vancouver, and Mario is in his Toronto Defiant jersey, being from Toronto.
Yeah.
But this podcast is going to be about what it's like being a super fan. Why we decide to attach ourselves and are like week to week with following this video game league that popped out kind of out of nowhere, and the communities around them, and why we keep going back. But before we get into that, just a couple reminders. Make sure to follow us on all social media at Grow Up Level Up. You can follow myself at SamsonXP. If you have any suggestions, my DMs are open, so please reach out for that. As well as hit the bell icon and subscribe if you really like what you hear or watch. You also might want to stay tuned to our socials, because we will be announcing the next phase of Grow Up Level Up very, very soon. Very soon, as in maybe in the next week or two. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you want to talk with our guest today or any of our previous guests, we do have a Discord down in the description below. So click that and join our community. We will be doing events, chats, or maybe you just want to find somebody to play a video game with after a long day of hard work and growing up. But getting back to our topic, I always ask this to every guest. What did you bring to drink on the podcast today?
Well, to any Canadian here, sorry if there's any Americans or any off Canadians here, but I'm not quite sure if America has this, but I have a beer, a classic beer PBR or Pab's Blue Ribbon. Actually, I'm not showing the logo. We're not sponsored.
Not
So,
sponsored, not endorsed. Yeah,
no, just the graphic right here.
that's
I just
cool.
opened it earlier. But yeah, so how about you, Samson? What are you
Uh,
drinking?
well, thanks for asking. Similar to the classic um uh Canadian drink, I guess. I think they have PVR in the US, but I don't know if they have Hey Y'alls. Oh, not showing up.
Oh,
Hey Y'alls
hello.
in the US. I don't even know if you guys do this on the East Coast. Do you guys have Hey Y'all?
I actually never heard of Hale before.
Oh, so
I
it's
actually did
totally well,
new.
actually, well, technically it's a Southern iced tea. But it's pretty simple. It's just vodka and iced tea. So a nice way to end the
Whoa,
day.
that is so cool. I know I have work tomorrow, but hey, this is gonna help me sleep. So
It's
yeah.
okay.
All
It's
right,
it's
cheers, man.
well,
Yeah.
cheers.
Yeah, cheers,
Cheers
cheers.
to some podcast juice.
Uh,
Cool. So, another question I like to ask every guest,
Yep.
and sometimes it's a loaded one, sometimes it's a little trickier. But I want to ask you what your top three games are of all time. Could be
Okay.
video games, playground games, or like um, tabletop games. What are
Okay.
your top three games of all time? Yeah.
Oh yeah. So top three games. I'm not sure if you do know me. To anyone who's watching who knows me, you already know what it is. It's number one for me, the current God of War series, like God of War 2018
Mm.
and Ragnarok. So I put both in one line because they were both, to me, the perfect games for me. Number two, the Assassin's Creed series from Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. So
Mhm.
up to that, well, it didn't really hit me that much, but they do have tremendous storytelling that really reflected my life when it comes to those games. If you know Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag,
Mhm.
you would know what it is. And number three, I grew up with this game for a very long time. It's an RTS game. It's called Stronghold. So Stronghold
Oh.
is actually a RTS game by Firefly Studios, who's based in the UK. And I'm really happy that they're actually releasing a definitive edition of Stronghold, the original game from 2001, which is, I'm like 3 years old, but I started playing it when I was like 6.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it was such a fun game. It told me a little bit more of medieval timesy that I got really into medieval times because of that. And it impacted my life because it got me pushing forward to RTS games and PC.
Mhm.
But now I'm not much into RTS. I'm more into single player RPG games currently, like God of War. Um, I mean, sadly, Overwatch is my top five, but you're saying top three. So you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what? Yeah, it's part of
Well,
top five. Don't worry.
I was gonna bring that up. I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa, we're decked out in Overwatch gear. We didn't even bring up Overwatch, but top five. That's true. I did narrow it down to top three. So top five is
no,
still pretty honorable. Runner up, as they say.
it's a runner up. Yes.
Okay, interesting. So you have Stronghold. It's got some nostalgia in you. It introduced you to
Yep.
the wonderful world of PC gaming,
Uh,
as well as Assassin's Creed and God of War Ragnarok, like very story rich, lore rich games about that are like also actiony and cool and all that. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a challenge. Starting with God of War, which one was better, the 2018 one or the Ragnarok, the sequel?
Ragnarok.
Really?
Off the bat. Off the bat. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if you
yeah,
played it, Simpson, the whole thing. But if you ask me any questions in the future, what impacted me, there may be minor spoilers, but at the
sure.
same time, it makes sense in my point of view on how it
Okay.
affected my life because
Oh,
Ragnarok has this storytelling that relates to the player, and it made me self-reflect during past couple of months because I know I may go off track here, but I'm
that's
not.
okay. Go for it.
I went through a deep state of depression for the past 8 months ever
Mhm.
since. So when I started playing that game, another time, another run, and those lines keep ringing in my head from Atreus himself, which is very, very like strong because it
Mhm.
relates to how life is in reality. And I'm gonna get to that answer once he asks that certain question in
Sure, sure,
the
sure.
future. Yeah, but I'm not gonna say it
Sure.
right now. Yeah.
Nah, no problem. Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that. I didn't finish Ragnarok. I personally thought it was not as good as the first one.
Oh,
So
to
I've never
me,
finished it. I
no,
should
no.
though. I should though.
Yeah, yeah. Just find some time. Like you're a busy man. I don't force anyone to like friggin' like
You
just
gotta
play
roll
this game.
credits, or
Hurry up.
else you didn't even finish the game, right?
Roll
Yeah.
credits, or I'm gonna post on Twitter, and you're gonna get canceled by Santa Monica Studios.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not even a real gamer, yeah.
oh. No, 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 no. That's fine.
No, I understand. Like I think that's such a cool part about games as an art is you can have these like reflective story moments, and compared to like a TV show or a movie where you're only in the seat for like TV show, I don't know, 10 hours, movie 3 hours, like a game you're sitting with these characters and lore, depending on the game, for up to
Hmm.
like 40, 50 hours, and you really get to know them and really sink into that world. So
Yeah.
that's that. I would love to hear about how that game impacted you, and I'm sure we will get into that in later in the podcast.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
but going back to your top three games, real quick, between the first four Assassin's Creeds, which one's your favorite one?
Between the four,
Yeah,
Brotherhood actually. So it's
number three was that one?
okay. So there's Assassin's Creed 1,
Yeah.
2, Brotherhood Revelations,
Oh,
3,
right.
and 4. So it includes 6 games.
Okay,
But I
okay.
put them in number 2 because if you were to like extend it, okay, I'm gonna like take 10 years to like match this up. I'm like, which one?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to
There's a
me,
timeline. There's a timeline.
yeah, to me it's Brotherhood because story wise is really good. It progressed from 2, where it left off from the ending of 2, and Brotherhood just somehow hit me because it shows Ezio's like independence more on
Mhm.
how he becomes an assassin, and it shows how powerful it can be if you choose this path.
Mm.
Like when it comes to assassins, because his minor spoilers to anyone who hasn't played Assassin's
Hasn't
Creed yet.
played this 20-year-old
Yeah,
game yet.
yeah. So I'm pretty sure everyone by now. But if to those who has never played it, yeah. So because Ezio started being an assassin because after his father and two brothers died.
Mhm.
Federico, Federico, Giovanni, and I forgot the third brother's name, the goofy little one with the
Sure.
bangs. Yeah,
I don't
so
remember either.
I don't
But
remember either, even though I played it a lot of times. That character is just like,
forgettable.
oh, there we go, Petruccio Auditore.
Whoa.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice accent.
thank you. That's how you know you played the games too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after they died, he got motivated to finish his father's work. But in Brotherhood, it shows more of his independence. It's not just his father's work that he's focusing. This
Mhm.
world is bigger than it is. This war between assassins and Templars
Mhm.
is deep than he thought it was. He's like, oh,
Mm.
you know what? I'm gonna take this deeper. I'm gonna find the root cause of everything. And he's such a good the master assassin, became mentor in Revelations.
Mm.
But Brotherhood is where he peaked, in my opinion.
Sure,
That's
sure.
where he immediately peaked. The story became intense. The gameplay wise, yeah, more improved
Mm.
than the second game, Assassin's Creed 2.
Mhm.
And oh my, yeah, so that's
That's
basically
awesome.
that's all I can say for Brotherhood on
No,
why it's
it's
my
it's
best.
cool. So I think that's a pretty good pitch on anybody who's never tried. It's like a good versus evil, but really it's a story
Yeah,
about questioning like what is good, what is evil, and like
yeah,
going deeper into that. That's awesome. Yeah, thanks for sharing your three games. I want
yeah,
to
no,
move on to talk about before we dive too deep into Overwatch and our experiences in that community, how we met, because I think that's a pretty like for me
yes,
that was a pretty cool story.
yes, I'm pretty sure
So
everyone wants to know the lore of this. So
the lore, yeah. How
the
did this
lore,
West Coaster meet this East Coaster?
yeah, how?
So about a year ago, pretty much almost to the day, my now fiance and I booked a trip to an event called the Summer Showdown, put on by the Overwatch League. It was basically a in-person tournament for the teams in North America to compete for a prize and points for their league. And at the time, being like just out of COVID, things are opening up. Um, I wanted to travel, and I've never been to Toronto. And this event and excuse is like a good excuse to go see the other side of my home country of Canada and to experience that. So I booked the trip. of course, leading up, I'm connecting with as many people as possible. And then the day comes and I'm in Toronto. I'm at the Mattamy Athletic Center and I'm just mingling, meeting all these new folks. And Mario comes up to me and shakes my hand and says,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, it's so great to meet the other super fan in Canada. And I was like, whoa, I never considered myself a super fan. And at the
Oh,
same
you are.
time, I didn't know that that my legacy has spread across the prairies
Oh,
over to Ontario and Toronto. So
right.
I thought like being Canadian as well. Didn't know that I could also feel Canadian hospitality until I went to Toronto and like had that experience as well. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, Canadian hospitality is a real thing, everyone, especially to you guys from the UK and America. If you think that's a myth, it's real. You
Mm-hmm.
just don't see it. Stop watching American shows. I'm so sorry. Like, stop
Yeah.
watching them. You really need to come to Toronto or Vancouver just to experience this, the two biggest cities in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and to experience
Montreal as
that.
well. Montreal as well.
Oh, yeah, Montreal. But
Yeah.
the big players is us,
There. Yeah.
our
East and
coast.
West Coast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
East or West Coast. Yes, sir.
And if you are listening to this on the day of release, actually, I believe this whole weekend leading up to Sunday is the Overwatch League playoffs and grand finals happening
Yeah.
at the same event center at
Yes.
in Toronto, where you'll definitely see Mario as well on the floor cheering
Yeah.
on whichever team he wants to, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're in the home soil of my territory. I can cheer whoever I want. What are they going to say to me? What are they going to say? What if
Well, I'm
I
from
cheer
here.
with Atlanta or Florida? Because why not? They're the two best teams in the league as of right now in NA. And there's no question why.
So,
yes.
the pulse check on you. What's your hype level for this event? It's
Uh,
not the first time like Overwatch has hosted an event in Toronto, and as a Vancouverite, I'm jealous, of course. Like Overwatch has never come to this city. But what are your hype levels for the second event, arguably the bigger one because it's the grand finals for the year?
Okay, so my hype level when I found out, I'm not sure if you saw the reaction from the live stream where Vancouver and Toronto did their first match together after a long time. That was like almost a month ago, I believe. Like
Yeah, just about.
it was the watch party at Toronto when they
Mhm.
announced the new Queen Street shenanigan right there. I
Right.
recorded it. I started screaming, but there was a POV of me screaming at the back while everyone is just on their phone. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
are y'all? I'm like, am I the only one who's screaming about this?
I
Like,
mean, you're the only one that actually heard. Everyone else like
yeah,
missed it. Went
everyone
over
is
their
just
head.
like, eh, like, okay. But okay, no. So that's how you can tell my hype. My hype level was so high because it's finally here again in the East Coast, Toronto, which I honestly did not expect. Even though there's some people who are tugging some hints, and I'm like, don't do that. Don't give me hope, please. I don't know why would they put it here, and they did it, and I'm like, oh, they're actually putting it here for the possible finale of the league
Yeah,
after
true.
5-6 years of this amazing league. It's gonna end in Toronto. That's crazy. Like it says something about it. Like, but yeah. So that's all I can say under that question.
No,
So hype
that's
sorry.
that's amazing. It is super hype. Like, and as I said, I was very jealous. Like, mostly because Canada never gets these opportunities to be represented on like a global stage. Overwatch League is a global league. Like, we have teams from China and Korea,
China, Korea,
and
correct.
London that will come here and play as part of this global league. And rarely does Canada get to represent the world.
Correct.
But at the same time, it's also like, yeah, it's for those who don't know, Overwatch League is owned by Activision Blizzard, and at the time of recording, they're actually in the process of getting bought out by Microsoft. So the league's role next year is very up in the air. We don't know if it's going to look the same. We don't know if they're keeping this city structure and or like how events are going to be run anymore. So when Mario says that this might be the last one, you serious? This might be the last
This might be
one as we know it for now.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, sad, bittersweet. But we'll get into that a little later. But that's kind of how the Overwatch League works. It's a global league teams play online but come together for specific milestones during the year, such as the grand finals, to play in person, where fans can cheer in person, hold signs, and meet each other, and get cool swag and be on camera. It's a really cool experience for a video game, more or less.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So as we said, we are super fans. I hopped on the Vancouver Titans train when they were announced. Oh man, I guess like 5 years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a large chunk of my life now that I think of it. And I hopped on just because I'm a fan of the game and a fan of local sports and the local scene, and I was like pretty happy and excited when Vancouver was going to get represented in something global. Vancouver never plays itself, right? We're never in the movies, but everything's shot here. So
no.
Yeah, Toronto as well. Like you guys are always New York, even though it's
New Yorkie,
Toronto.
from the boys and stuff. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
You can keep
true.
going. Yeah, you can keep going.
So that was kind of what made me excited to hop on to Vancouver Titans. And as staff changed and player changed, I really got to know the community and all the people that work there now. And yeah, I'm just happy to be a part of this small, tight community that wants to celebrate this game and Vancouver. Mario, what about you? How did you get involved with Toronto Defiant and their community?
Okay, so that is a very good question, and this is going to be lore. I actually explained this
Mario
in
lore?
Light Force. Yeah, exactly. So I explained this in Light Force's podcast, but I'm going to bring it here.
Yeah, for sure.
So especially you see me now. Hello YouTube. Yeah. So how it all started was actually not what you expect. So I knew Defiant existed, but sadly I had a really hardworking life. Hardworking meaning like I just focused on my job and my school. Like I didn't really have time for gaming. At that phase, I didn't really have some sort of time, even though I play Overwatch. But when I found out Overwatch League, when I was like Googling it, I'm like, oh, I wonder what esports, does Overwatch have esports? I was like, oh. So I basically got in as a fan after inaugurals, because inaugurals basically, Defiant did not exist in inaugurals.
No. So the
Vancouver
first year,
either.
Vancouver didn't exist.
Yeah.
Toronto didn't exist. This was 2018, but by 2019, Canada had two teams. Yeah.
Yeah, so by 2019, around that time, I knew they existed, but I sadly regret not being with them, because I wish I was there in the opening ceremony of Defiant, because I remember, from what I heard, I think they did an opening, like, reveal grand ceremony for Defiant, Toronto's first ever Overwatch League team.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they did it, but I saw the pictures of them like a couple years back, and I'm like, you guys did it in a church? I was like,
wait, actually?
It looks like a church, but maybe I'm mistaken, but it looked like a church, and they put banners and the red coloring lights for Defiant. And I was like, what? I'm like, you're treating this as the Holy Grail. Oh, like that. So anyway, aside from that, so I became a fan around 2019, end of 2019, beginning of 2020. So this is where it gets interesting. I was just wearing my Defiant jersey because I had the OG Defiant jersey with my name and my number 98 on it. That's when they were selling, custom jerseys where you can put your name and stuff. So I was just wearing it because I like Defiant, because one, Defiant is in Toronto. I support the Toronto city type teams. Two, it's Overwatch, which I played so much at that time, ever since 2016. So I had a huge passion for it. I went around to see. I saw some people who were wearing the jerseys, but there's one particular individual that I actually interacted after the event. We went to the TTC subway, me and my friend, because me and my close friend from high school we just finished the event. We're tired. So there's this one lady running by me with the same exact jersey as mine, running by, rushing into the train. But the train was not there yet. And when I walked past by her, I was like, oh, Toronto Defiant? And she was like, yes, I'm into the team. and we started talking until the end of the subway, like the subway
Line,
commute.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and we talked, we exchanged contacts, and she added me to the Discord of Defiant. And from there on out, history has been made. I
Mm.
made so much deep friendships in the league, Defiant Cord, other Overwatch League teams like Samson right here. Yeah. Without that event, I wouldn't be here doing this
Mm.
podcast. You wouldn't know me. I wouldn't
True.
have
We wouldn't have
made
met.
everything. I know it's the
Yeah.
canon event. Like,
Yeah.
if you watch Across the Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
everyone
We'll throw in that stinger, that
oh
music
man,
stinger.
it would have been so cool because wearing a 2099 version of Defiant colors, that'd be so cool. It would be
That'd be
cool on
cool.
YouTube because there's a tint of blue in 2099 Miguel O'Hara. So yeah,
I wish I was good enough at sewing to do something cool like that.
yeah.
But that's a photo. Okay, so
So yeah,
it
that's the
was
history.
yeah. So you wanted
Met.
like out of curiosity, you wanted to find like an Overwatch, see if Overwatch had team. You went to an event, you met someone there, and then it just spiraled on to becoming part of a bigger community.
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
That's
that's
how it ended.
awesome.
That's how it ended up.
So yeah, so from that, what are some like amazing memories and opportunities other than this podcast that you've gotten through that being part of that community?
Well, the biggest memories I made were the friendships I've made for the past years, because that type of connections you have, especially when people share the same passion as you, share the same, hype as you, because this game you have played together, like not
Mhm.
literally together, like indirectly, and somehow you cross paths and you made it.
Mhm.
It can last a lifetime. I can really tell some of these friends I made. Shout out to Jessica, shout out to Noir, and shout out to Caitlin. There's a bunch of people. There's a list of names that I just really want to say. I really want to
Mhm.
thank, because without this type of passion we share, without this type of community, without the league, I don't know where I am gonna be without that type of passion. Because honestly, it kept me up, because the time when my very old game, I used to be part of a very old community. When I was 12, I joined a online browser game called Be Gone. It's legit gone now because
It's so
because
old.
of the Flash player
Oh
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
Flash
and
players.
it
Yeah.
was run under Unity web player. So yeah, I made lifelong friendships in that community. But
Mhm.
this time, when I was with Defined Community, it hit the exact same spot which I want in a gaming community. But this time, it's longer.
Mhm.
This is for sure longer. This will last
Mhm.
longer because I made friendships around when I was like 19, 20, 21 years old. Jesus, it's been so long since with this community. Around
Yeah.
that age, you're more mature than when you were a kid, because you can't really comprehend, like,
Sure. Yeah.
oh, what lifelong friendships mean. For a kid, it's like, oh, we're just close friends.
Yeah.
But
We
when
just go to
you
school together.
yeah, we just go to school together. We just play after school
Yeah.
and we go to sleep,
Our
repeat.
parents are
But
friends. Yeah.
but we didn't have those conversations as deep as adulthood, because
Mhm.
with those connections, you can actually have these adult conversations, like, let's say, relationships, school,
Mhm.
life,
Yeah.
jobs.
Work. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So without those connections, in a way, you don't really have role models. I mean, aside from your parents, aside from your family,
Mm.
what I'm saying right now, gaming communities, it's not for everyone, but for us gamers, for us big nerds, it's very good to have a
Yeah.
gaming community at least once or a bunch of times in your life, because they can be your role models in the future. Because again, this will be ending up in lifelong relationships, friendship, close friendship. Hell, you might even, like, when you reach that age when you have kids, you can actually show them and be like, look at me. I progressed in life
Yeah.
thanks to
Yeah.
you, because you
Yeah.
gave me tips, you gave me life lessons, because there's people in the online gaming community you don't expect, because they're global, they're online. It's so
Mhm.
accessible right now. And the fact that you get to experience that diversity as well is just beyond like next level,
Totally.
level up, a total level up. So yeah.
Well, you also brought in a bit of grow up.
Grow up.
A
Yeah.
really cool point you brought up that I don't think we've talked about on this show before
Yeah.
is that the friends that you make in adulthood are different than the friends that you would make growing up. Growing up, you like going through school, you are friends because you're in the same class, or your parents are friends, or you're on the same like sports team. But when you're an adult, you get all that choice to attach yourself wherever you want. And being in that like early 20s age, those friendships are like genuine, all by choice. And you can get into those mature topics like relationships and health and work, right? Like that's a really interesting point you bring up there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we did go on a little tangent, but it's
Yeah.
awesome that the Toronto Defiant community is a community where those kind of relationships can happen and help people grow and learn and is welcoming. I think those spaces are vital, not just for like gamers. It's vital for life. Like everybody should find a community like that.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah. And shout out to Maggie as well, because I know she hears this podcast. Does it hear her name?
Oh yeah. No, by then I would announce a bit later on that I recorded a podcast with you. Yeah, by then. Because,
Okay.
Yeah, but no lie, I only told a handful of people about what I'm doing right now, as of right now. Only just a handful, yeah, but I just want to treat it as a surprise. But to whoever's watching right now, the 28th, today's the 28th. Hello, it's me from the past.
Yes, we are live.
We are from the past, but we're talking in the future?
We're getting into the inside baseball of how Grow Up Level Up is made.
I'm gonna self-reflect myself. I'm gonna probably watch this on the Airbnb. We're like, what are you talking about?
Throw it. You know what? We'll call Adam at Toronto Defiant and tell him to throw it up on the jumbotron. It'll just be a group watch.
It's gonna be in like oh my god, like the square in Toronto. It's gonna be up there. We're like,
hey, that'd be cool. Give me a picture of me on that screen. So. Great segue into the event coming up this weekend, the Overwatch League Grand Finals, hosted by the Toronto Defiant at the Mattamy Athletic Center. Grand Finals being on October 1st, Sunday, game day Sunday. So we did go a little bit about how high your hype levels are at. I'm sure they are through the roof right now for everybody in Toronto. But I guess leading up to by the time of release, we're still a couple days away from the actual Grand Finals day. What are your expectations for this event compared to the event last year at the Summer Showdown?
Okay, so no question. More hype, love, energy, support for each team that's going to be up in that stage. And to me, I really want to keep my hopes low. They better say the reason why Toronto was chosen to be the host, because I don't think Sean Miller explained why
head of Overwatch
Toronto.
League. Yeah, Sean Miller, head of Overwatch League. Sorry, go on.
Exactly. So Sean Miller, the head of Overwatch League, did not even put up a full-on reason why Toronto was chosen. The reason why I want that reason, it's because we just need that answer, because it was so unexpected that they chose Toronto as the last venue. Rumored last venue of the league. And I'm not going to say like my community is the best or anyone, but for some reason the hype, I've never been to BlizzCon yet, but the hype in that Summer Showdown was astounding. Like it was phenomenal. Seeing everyone in one place with the same passion, with the same support to their supportive teams, especially Toronto being up there. That was insane. And I don't know what made Sean Miller choose, or whoever chose Toronto as the rumored last venue, but it may be the case of fan appreciation to the league itself. Yeah. So, yeah.
A couple good points you bring up, like Toronto Defiant, I think, and this is we're getting deep into the weeds of the business side of Overwatch League. If you want more of that, go check out the Ready Set Pwn podcast, because that's where they talk about all this. But Toronto Defiant has been known, or is rumored to be known as the team or the franchise with the most passionate fan base. You guys recently won a league competition to get a spray in the game by posting clips online. Like
Yes.
Toronto Defiant fans won that competition.
Shelby Bob.
Bebop. Yeah, I love that guy or girl or person. Really great
Guy.
edits, guy. So
Yeah.
shout out to Shell Bebop. Tell them I say hi. But
Oh,
Toronto
yeah.
Defiant, like as well as Adam Adamo from Overactive Media.
Oh, yeah,
He's
man.
been very involved in the behind the scenes, really championing the league, but also challenging the organizers. Like, this is what we need to do better. This is what could do better, and he's really doing it for the love of the game, more or less. Like business side, of course, there's always a business component, but um, the better business thing would just be to pull out and take your money. He's really passionate about esports and is pushing change in a good way. So that also might be a reason why Toronto was chosen. He really championed for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he probably is the saving grace to make Toronto another LAN event for us in the East Coast.
That'd be
And
awesome.
not to mention, statistically, most gamers are from the East Coast, so that's why it attracted so many. Like, because I noticed that, like, in COD days back then, it showed a lot of East Coasters playing, like, esports games like Call of Duty back then.
Okay.
There was a lot of people, like, from New York, Jersey. Yeah, but West has a lot of people, too, but for the East, that's where the most population is so far.
That's true. Like overall,
Yeah.
there's more people living in the East.
Yeah,
just historically, right?
population. Yeah, historically, a population density when it comes to gamers, most of them are from there.
Cool.
Yeah, second place is in the West Coast, third place is Europe, and the fourth place is Asia.
Mhm.
Yeah, but for
Really?
Asia, it just depends. It depends on the game, honestly. Like,
True. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'll share a little bit about I was lucky enough to go to two LAN events, LAN being local events for Overwatch League last year. One was the Summer Showdown, but I also went to the
Correct.
grand finals last year in Anaheim, California. And yeah, you're in for a treat because the crowd that shows up for the grand finals is way bigger than what happened at Summer Showdown.
Oh,
Seats were like packed every day. By the time the grand finals comes around, yeah, you're gonna have a great time. So
oh yeah. Speaking of, because I'm pretty sure you heard by now, it's already sold out the grand finals day. So Madame is full. We've never seen Madame that full.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so this is gonna be the first time I'd ever need to break through my social anxiety to go through that huge crowd. But thank God I'm in the
Yeah.
front, so I'm like,
You were in there early and got those front row tickets, like easy
Correct.
peasy. Dude, it's
Correct.
gonna be awesome. Take lots of pictures for me. I'm sure I'll see you online on the live stream. So
Yeah, I
really
hope
looking forward to that.
I hope my phone memory would survive that because
Bring a
there's
battery
a
pack.
lot.
Yeah, get a
Yeah.
second phone or something.
Second phone. Oh yeah, I do have two phones.
No, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So if you are listening to this on the Friday of release, check it out on overwatchleague.com or on the Overwatch League YouTube channel. And if you see Mario on the broadcast, screenshot and throw it up on Twitter. Your X. what's your Twitter/X handle?
My Twitter/X handle is at Super Mario 98, capital S and capital M. And you would really not miss me. You would immediately recognize me
That's
because
awesome.
I keep showing up somehow in the Leagues and Defiance feed, like almost every video clip that they post when it comes to the Overwatch League LAN events. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm here. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing about Overwatch. I'm glad I got to nerd out about the Overwatch League with somebody finally. I kind of want to move on and talk about video games overall and how they impacted your life. So we did touch on it a little earlier, but now let's really dive deep into it. So how have games impacted your life in a positive way?
Okay, in a positive way. So I mentioned earlier in the podcast about God of War really impacting my life because of few simple words. Yeah, like it's not exact word for word, but in Ragnarok, the morals of the story is that people in life have their choices. The more they grow up, the more choices they have, and whatever choice they make, they can be the person that is better than their predecessors, or they go down a path which is dark. So I remember Atreus saying, "You make your own choices." Kratos saying about choice, because in Kratos' story in Ragnarok, minor spoilers, he was trying to regain Atreus' trust because Atreus did something in the beginning of the game that Kratos was like, "Wait, what? You did that behind my back?" Yeah, so basically it shows Atreus like growing up, because when you're in teens, right, you hide a lot of lies to your parents.
Yeah, it's
Like,
only natural. It's only natural.
it's a natural thing to do because you're at that age. Like, we've all been through that. We lie about our parents. Like, let's say, "Oh, I went to school," but you actually went to your friend's house.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like that. But luckily, I'm not that type of kid. Don't worry.
No, yeah.
If
If mom and dad are listening, no.
mom and
We're all
dad are
there.
listening
School every
again,
day. School every
yeah.
day.
Yeah, even though I'm really bad at school, but anyway, that's another story for another time. So, yeah, so choice is very important, especially adulthood, because you're at that age where you start forging your own path. You make your own future. You set up like everything that's needed that people want you to go to, but you can also follow your heart, because in reality, you make that choice. You're the one who steers that ship of like, of your life. Like, if you want to be the good person, the philanthropist, like, the typical good guy in life, go for it. As long as it makes you happy, go for it. As long as it protects your parents, your family, that's it. And I remember in God of War 2018. Have you played that at least?
Yes, I
The
have.
whole
Yeah,
game? Yeah,
yeah,
so
that one.
remember Faye was hiding the secret at the end.
Yeah.
Sorry for spoilers, everyone who
Well,
never
it's for
played God of
anybody.
War.
Well, although we
Sorry.
do recommend it anyways. Play it
We
anyways.
recommend it. It's been out since 2018. I'm pretty sure you heard the story, but anyway. Yeah, so when Faye was hiding the truth at that mural at the end in Jotunheim, she did it for a reason, to protect Kratos and Atreus. That is a good reason. What would you do if you want to protect your family? You gotta steer away from the truth. In a way, she did a good lie,
Okay.
but obviously
Interesting.
over lying is going to be bad. Over, like, too much of lying, you'll be like, okay, you're being insane. but but when it comes to a lie that protects your family, friends, relationships, might as well do it. But may have some like unprecedented consequences. You may lose people in your life, like friendships, because you did one lie that some people's perspective that would be a big deal. But people are not obligated to say the reasons why they did that, because they can't just say every reason that they do. Like, that's not
It's a lot
really
of
good.
explaining.
A lot of
It's
explaining.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
And
it
you
sounds
go
like a
ahead.
lot of
Yeah.
like a big moral dilemma,
A
ethical
moral
dilemma,
develop.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
That's very complicated.
it's a
Um,
very complex topic as well, because, people, the more you ask them why you do that, the more they steer away from it. So the best way possible, in my opinion, because I went to my huge depression, and what I did is accept the fate. I honestly wanted closure after what happened. I'm not going to say what happened because it really hurts me
yeah,
if
that's
I
okay.
do explain it.
Yeah.
One day you may know what happened, what caused it, but I learned to accept it and learn the reality that people are not obligated to do closure, because they're probably scared. They just did that for their own good, but it's all fine because that's what life is. I accepted it because that's life. Especially, I'm like turning 25 in October 2nd. By the way, October 2nd is the day
Oh
after
yeah.
grand
Oh,
finals, so it's a
a happy
big.
birthday weekend.
Oh, thank you. So
uh,
back to that topic. Yeah, so at that age, again, back to the choice part, they make their own choices to steer their life that they wanted to. If you try to force them to do closure, you're dragging them down to that past, which is it can be problematic, because you're dragging them, you're not making them push forward. So in my case, on how I got through it, I'm pretty sure you saw my Twitter post. If you do, I pinned it. It's about my explanation of how I endured. So yeah, so just accept it. Because some people, to be honest, it may not be easy for them to just accept fate and move on. To me, it took me months to accept this. Like, I keep telling myself, my parents say this a lot to me. Life is never fair. That's how it is. Without mistakes in life, how can you learn from that? How can you become stronger? I turned that pain to strength. I honestly moved, like 70% moved on from it. The other 30, I'm still working on it, but trust me, I'm really doing fine. So don't worry about me. I'm really fighting it off. And to those who looked out for me again, thank you so much. Like, I'm still here, breathing, doing this podcast, doing fun times with other people. What's one event that would hold me back, right? Maybe that, but I'm like turning 25. I'm gonna be in my mid-age. Middle age, mid-age.
Quarter life, yeah.
Quarter life, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so the more, exactly. Go ahead.
Like, well, first of all, thank you for sharing that story and being so open with us on the podcast. It's always tough. It's one of the toughest things to be vulnerable and admit where you struggled and really grow from that. So thank you for opening it up. And I also appreciate all the nuggets of wisdom you put out, saying that we can't control other people's actions and we're not obligated to know why people do certain things. And sometimes as individuals, we have to accept that fate, accept the fact of the unknown and move on and recover however best we can. So I'm really glad to hear that you are working through it in your own way, and I really thank you for sharing that and being here.
No worries.
That's awesome. So God of War really unlocked a really special message. Makes me want to finish the second game. I should probably finish it.
Just find the time.
yeah. Well, I got like going back to the game part. I just picked up Baldur's Gate 3 last night. I got Final Fantasy 16. I'm still playing through. I got Zelda to play
games
through.
That I wanted.
If I was going to Toronto, I would have passed it on. You would probably beat it before me.
I mean, maybe.
The power. Yeah, maybe I am there. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe spiritually, yes.
Yeah. Digital downloads as they do now.
Exactly.
Going back to the games, I guess you were really drawn to God of War. You said you really like those single player action games. What other qualities do you look for in a good video game?
Qualities as in like gameplay, story.
Yeah, all those things.
Okay, so what gets me the most every time a new game shows is the gameplay and graphics. Because you need those eye candy to like hook you. That's what they do. That's why God of War looks like that. So it can be hooked, and it shows how much it changed from God of War 3 to
the reboot.
God of War 2018 to 2022.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like, it really shows a change in environment. That's why it's eye candy. You're like, whoa, this is different. Like, you compare and contrast. This is not the Kratos I know. This is a different Kratos. What did they do to him? So in some aspects, it has to be the graphics. And yeah, the gameplay, yes, because as you can compare and contrast to God of War 3 and the old God of War games in general to God of War 2018 and 2022, it's a completely different like change of combat because it's more Souls-like now, like Souls-like combat and RPG-esque combat, while God of War, the old God of War games were hack and slash, like you're just hacking and slashing, actiony, flares, a lot of flares. God of War 2018 and 2022 has that, but they do have reasons why they do that to give that actual nostalgia factor back in, because I remember seeing a bunch of moves with the blades that Kratos did in the old games. I'm like, oh my god, they imported this in there.
They brought it back, yeah.
Yeah, because it has to be that way. And my number one, I know I ordered this wrong, like I went graphics.
It's okay. We can go any order we want, yeah.
But to me, it's the story. As you can tell, I love story. And, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, my top 5 is my number 4 after Overwatch 2 and 1 on that top 5, even though we didn't discuss this.
Yeah, the runner-up, yeah.
The number 4 to me is this Marvel Spider-Man. That
was really good too. Yeah.
That was really good. Again, same concept. Like, the graphics was amazing. The story. So, back to this back to that part where what I prefer in games, like what I expect from them, story.
Okay.
Story. It has to has context, because if you know it's a good story, they have dialogue, they have emotion. That's how you know you may learn some life lessons in that game. Because once you hear something deep, you're like, wait, and you need to keep going. What if some one line hits you? And you're gonna carry it on in your life in a good way or a bad way. Coming back to the choice part, it's up to you if you want to use those words in a bad way, or in a good way, or a neutral way, whatever way you are. Just apply it to your life. That will be best for you to do. That's what life is. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, that's such a strong answer. I think when people think of video games, and to be fair, this is like a pretty recent popular thing, is the stories are so strong in some video games. Like they rival movies and TV shows. But you got to play the game to get to those parts, right? Like that's the tricky part. You got to earn those story bits. But there are games where story is tied to the gameplay. Those are harder to come by. But a good story really does make a game special, because it sticks with you. In the case of yourself, you really brought it and implemented it into your own life. Like a good story can really leave you feeling feelings, I guess, like a good movie would about the game. Yeah, that's awesome. Trying to think of what the best story I've played recently was. It might have also been Spider-Man. I'm really excited for the second one as well. Coming out soon.
I'm yet to pre-order that. I'm sorry.
I think. Hold on. I think by the time this podcast comes out, the game is already out.
Maybe it's out. I think it's coming out in October.
Oh, is it October? Okay, I thought it's September.
No, it should be October. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me confirm that.
Spider-Man's just got good stories all the time as well.
I found the answer. October 20th is when it comes out.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. October, busy month. So the new Spider-Man, I'm sure it'll be great. And yeah, I challenge those who aren't necessarily like video game playing people to check out some of the stories from these games. Sometimes you can like just get the gist of it on like YouTube and stuff. Like, of course, you can watch it like a movie. Yeah. But I think the special part comes into the fact that when you spend so much time as these characters going through the challenges they are going through, because games aren't easy, like going through the challenges they are going through, and when you see that challenge reflected in a cinematic or a story as well, it feels different because you earned it. You kind of feel what the character felt in a tactile way as opposed to just an emotional way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. Story games are great.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of went over this question earlier, but real quick, is there one more game that also had a big influence on your life?
One more game that influenced my life.
You definitely named like 4 or 5 already so far. So
5. Geez, that is a good question. Woo!
It's okay if we name them all. We do have Mario's best game list, right?
We have Mario's best game list, yeah. So whoever attacks my list, go for it. But hey, I didn't ask for that. So wait, let me see. Okay, so that impacted my life is actually, hold on, I'm just checking out my game list here from Steam. It's actually surprisingly, in a way, even though I prefer story games, to me, it was the Call of Duty series.
Oh, interesting.
I know, it's an interesting answer. The reason why is because I grew up with it.
Okay.
I grew up, my actual first Call of Duty game was actually Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare.
Yeah, from like 2007, right?
Yes, and I built it up from Modern Warfare 2, 3, Black Ops 2. To me, those are the peak games in Call of Duty's history. The peak games, yeah. So that impacted my life because I made friends there as well. Not as much as Overwatch because, you know, the people in the COD community.
Time and place as well.
Time and place. And the people in the COD community are very, very different. Like, especially, I was a kid back then. I could not comprehend, like, good and bad, annoying, loud, rude. Like, but now since I'm older, I understand. I'm like, okay. The reason why I stopped Call of Duty right now is because 1, it's repetitive, and 2, It's just that the community, to me, sorry, Call of Duty fans, to me, it's not a fitting place for me.
Yeah.
Like, I had a bad experience years ago when I got screamed at because I only played one bad play and they were all on me. Like, it was unnecessary. And I was a kid back then. Of course, I cried. I stopped playing the game. But that bad experience carried on because it's not worth it. That's why toxicity for me, that's my flaw in life. I need to handle toxicity well when it comes to games. I know you're supposed to not take it personally, but you have to understand you're talking to another human being. Not everyone can be thick-skinned as everyone is. Like, and speaking of, with that being said as well, I always mute the chat and voice chat in Overwatch. Okay, so I'm that person who doesn't communicate
Doesn't
in comp.
hear you.
That's me. That's me. I don't care if I get mass reported because I did not communicate, but hey, that doesn't stop me from playing the game because I play with my friends.
Yeah, well,
that
like
I've
you
made.
said, you don't need to have a reason for your actions or to explain to others or apologize. But toxicity in games, it can ruin experiences for others. First of all,
Correct. Yeah.
And it's just got no place. Like, even if you're joking, even if you're frustrated, like, put that frustration somewhere else, right?
Yeah,
Like,
not on
instead of targeting someone else.
Especially when there's some kids in here that wouldn't be fond of hearing, but they're gonna carry it on because you say it a lot. Like, that's why that's where the role model part comes in. When you're an older person in a lobby, or anyone older than obviously the child age, like 10, 12, they're
Any
gonna
age,
do. So I'm pretty sure everyone has heard the saying, monkey see, monkey do. Like, literally, that's what the kids are gonna do. That's why they swear a lot these days, because they got influenced with YouTubers, older people in gaming, like in voice chats, how they react to certain things. So that's why Call of Duty, no. When it comes to gaming.
I guess the question was, had a big influence on your life. It did influence your life in a certain way.
In a certain way,
It made you realize that you should associate with games that aren't as toxic, and maybe this game's not for you, but it holds a nostalgic place in your heart.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Cool. As we close out the show, I always like to ask my guests two really fun questions. The first one I'll ask is a little bit more fun. So pretend that I have made $1 million bajillion from Growth Level Up, and I would love to fund a video game that you get to design, art direction, sound, gameplay, and it could be a video game or a tabletop game or a sport. What would you make?
So what would I make as alongside your money?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, even though I read this question, like, it still gave me a little trouble because I had so much stuff in my head. I'm like, I would actually go for a card game because honestly, we need to have real people interaction. So that specific card game would be a Cards Against Humanity type of game.
Okay.
Like, I can't really title because I'm not good with titles, but it should be related to super fans inside jokes if we know each other, especially.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's hard to do because you got to know each other personally to make those jokes. And
like a very personalized version of Cards Against Humanity.
And only some people would get the joke. Most of them will be like, huh?
Yeah.
Be like,
doesn't make any sense.
Why is this guy laughing so hard? You don't know.
Yeah.
So I would rather have a tabletop game or a card game like that.
Cool. Yeah. That's a cool one. I never thought of a like a Cards Against Humanity, but hyper personalized, and it's not supposed to be played by many people. It's supposed to be played by a select few for maximum enjoyment.
Exactly.
Cool. What a great answer. Cool. We don't need to name it. We'll worry about that later. Cards Against Mario and Samson. How about that? My last question for you as we close out the podcast is, what is your one piece of wisdom to leave with the world?
One piece of wisdom. Okay. So I've said this so many times in this podcast. Always remember, people, life can take you in different directions. They're always not good. They're always not bad. Just you're just remember you're the only one steering the ship. If you want to go for good, go for it. That's where everyone wants. If you want to go for bad, it's up to you. It just depends on who your role model is, who the people you grew up with. But keep in mind, you got to steer your ship carefully to make your life successful in this earth, because it's in the real world, it's brutal. Like what I said, there's no such thing as a perfect life in reality. Like, oh, that's another thing in God of War. I know I'm adding so much. God of War. Yeah, God of War. Kratos even says, do not be sorry, be better. In Ragnarok, minor spoiler, Atreus says the exact same thing to Kratos. He's like, don't be sorry, father, be better. See, they don't say be perfect, be better, be the better person than the person before you, like your father, your mother, whatever mistakes they are. You can either be like them, that's another choice thing, or build up to be a better person. Like, do not repeat those mistakes that your past people did. Like, here, so just keep in mind, this is your ship. This is how you sail it. Life can take you in really weird turns.
The ocean can take you in really weird turns.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You can always be better.
Oh, yeah. So one more question that you probably missed.
Oh, sure, yeah.
A tip for anyone who's coming to Toronto for the first time?
Yes. Yeah, I totally did miss that one. So, jumping back, if you are still listening to the podcast, please give some tips to whoever is still in Toronto.
Tips. First of all, get some Tim Hortons, guys. Please. Come on. I know come on, guys. Like, if you missed out Tim Hortons coming here to Toronto or anywhere in Canada for the first time, come on, you're missing out. It's
you gotta try it. It's part of Canadian culture, right?
Especially the ice caps. Get the ice caps. It may give you there's some weird moments in the washroom or bathroom, but you gotta get that flavor because it's a acquired taste. Not a lot of people like it, but to us Canadians, it's a classic.
It is a classic. Good for every season.
And I only have 2 tips. So this second tip, whoever gave out the Jane and Finch tip, do not listen to them, please, because Jane and Finch, you're not going to see the light of day when you wake up in that area, okay? Do not go there. Do not go there. Please do not go there. If you come to Toronto, if you bought an Airbnb in Jane and Finch, I don't think you'd be in the grand finals or playoffs. It's that bad. You can search up how bad it was.
All right.
Do not go there. I saw a Twitter post about that, and I was like, this guy's serious? Like, oh my God, we're not going to see these fans who ever fell for this.
Oh, no. Okay, so so don't go to Jane and Finch.
Don't go to Jane and Finch.
Definitely get lots of Tim Hortons while you're there.
Exactly.
Excellent. Thank you for those tips for those coming out to Toronto.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the podcast today, of course, and sharing all about yourself, your journey, your life journey, as well as your journey through the Toronto Defiant and esports and that role in your life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Audience, if you are listening, leave a comment about what you think of this episode. Leave a comment for myself or Mario. And don't forget to subscribe if you liked it and hit the bell icon if you really loved it. Don't forget to follow on our socials as well at Grow Up Level Up or myself at SamsonXP. Mario, where can people find you?
Okay, so at first, you can find me mainly on Twitter and Instagram. So I'll say my Twitter or X profile. So again, let me repeat that, at Super Mario 98, capital S and M, just to be sure. And for Instagram is it's MMBSLVDR98. I know it's a very weird iteration of my name, but that's how I named myself in Instagram when I was going through a break, so no one can find me. But I stuck with that. And I also stream on Twitch as well. So I do stream once in a while, but since the new games are coming out, Mirage, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Spider-Man 2 especially, it's twitch.tv/Super Mario 1098. And I have a YouTube account, but I only post rarely, so it's Mario Miguel Salvador, my real name. Hello, I doxed my real name.
That's all right. That's all right. And we'll post the links of all those things below as well to make it easy for our listeners and or viewers. But Mario, thank you again for coming on and sharing about yourself. And for everyone else listening around the globe, have fun at Grand Finals.
All right. Thank you so much for everyone listening. Thank you, Samson, for inviting me. It's an honor. Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah. Thank you.
See you all next week for an extra special announcement. Have a good week, everybody.
See you.